Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. So we got a lot to talk about today. The markets were a little bit mixed today. Bitcoin and Ethereum were both up. Miners were up for the most part. I think there was only one miner that was down, but we do have some stories to talk about. One is Intel discontinues Bitcoin mining chip series. They're also going to so we'll get into that. We'll also talk about America's largest Bitcoin exchange considering leaving the country. That's talking about Coinbase here. So that's definitely big news story there potentially. And then we got an update from DMG. They are buying more miners, which is good. And then we also have Hive, previous all-time high. Can it get back to its all-time high, and what would it take to get there as well? So this is going to be, I think, the last video that we do in this series as far as the miners are concerned for that. Okay. So as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. I'm invested in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you guys enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's get into the markets here. So the S&P was up today just barely, 0.09% to 4154. Dow Jones was down a little bit, 0.03 to 33,976. And the NASDAQ was up just barely, also 0.03 to 13,091. Bitcoin finished out a pretty good day, pretty much, gained all of its losses from yesterday. It was up today 3.2%. It was up $943 to a close of 30,393. So we're back above the 30,000 mark. RSI also looks pretty good. RSI bounced a little bit here. We're under the 70 mark here on the RSI, which is looking pretty good on the daily chart. 4-hour chart is also looking pretty good here. We can see that the RSI is at 57. Last time we were back here was right around here. Price was at pretty much the same spot, almost, for the most part. And then on the 1-hour chart, we can see that the RSI has come up a little bit, or quite a bit here. We did go over to the oversold territory, came back down a little bit. Now we're back up to 63. Last time we were at this range was, well, if we go far enough back here, we were actually higher at that point in price. So we might have a little bit of a reversal happening here, or we may come down a little bit more in price, but we'll see how this is going to play out. Okay. Ethereum, let's see. Ethereum was up also today. It was up almost to where it fell yesterday. It was up 1.4% to 2,104. It's down a little bit right now in the new day hours, but the RSI has come down a little bit on the daily, which is good. It's at 69 right now. On the 4-hour chart, we can see that it has continued to fall down while the price has pretty much stayed flat here if you look all the way back to here. So price is at the same level, RSI is lower, so that's kind of a good sign there. On the 1-hour chart, we can see that the RSI is at 53. Last time we were back here was kind of like right around here, it looks like, and we are pretty much at the same spot. Possibly, yep, we're at the same spot right now. So no real change there. So we'll see how that goes. And let's take a look at the miners here really quick. So Annie had a pretty good day today. It was up 8.98% to 46 cents. Argo was up slightly, 3.45% to $1.50. BitDigital was up 4.43% to $2.12. Bitfarms was up a little bit as well, 3.31% to $1.25. Cypher was up also a little bit, 3.35% to $2.78. CleanSpark has continued to run on its bull run here. It's up 14.58% to $5.03, so it broke above the $5 range. It hasn't done that since last time was back here in September, it looks like. So we are getting into new highs here, obviously, with CleanSpark, which is nice to see. We'll see how long this can continue going on. It's obviously been going up yesterday, which was a down day for the markets. They were up quite nicely again, and today as well. So we'll see. Cores was up 3.16% to 42 cents. DigiHost was up 8.9% to $2.08. DMG was up 3.86% to 24 cents. Greenidge was up 6.87% to 70 cents. Hive was up 2.6 to $3.95. Hut 8 was up 3.54% to $2.05. Iris Energy was up 7.18% to $4.63. Marathon was up a little bit, 2.01% to $11.68. Mawson was the only one that was down, I think. They were down 1.38 to $3.21. Ride was up 4.02% to $13.45. Soluna was up 6.12% to 26 cents. Stronghold was up 15.31% to $1.13. They're also doing pretty good here. They're back up to their highs back in over here, which was back in October. And then we got TeraWolf is up 8.33% today to $1.56. So they're continuing their nice little rally that they've had as well. Okay, let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick. And let's see what's going on there. We'll refresh this really quick. And we got the hash rate down to 340, which I think is the same as it was yesterday right now. On the 7-day average, 1-day average, take a look at it. Yep, it's still at the same spot, 368 million on that one. So we'll see when that gets changed over. So let's take a look at the stories that we do have here, and then we'll get into DMG and Hive. So this one is kind of interesting. Intel discontinues Bitcoin mining chip series. The production of the so-called Blockscale chips was announced back about a year ago, and we had a couple companies report on it that they were going to be buying them. The only one that we have so far that has reported of getting them bought, installed, and everything else was Hive. But here's what Intel had to say. So as we prioritize our investments in IDM 2.0, we have end-of-lifed the Intel Blockscale 1000 series ASIC chips, which we continue to support our Blockscale customers, an Intel spokesperson said. And down here, the company's announced its foray into Bitcoin mining about a year ago with its first customers for the chips dubbed Blockscale, being Argo Blockchain, right? They, I think, canceled their order. Block, haven't heard anything from them. And then Grid Infrastructure, haven't heard anything from them either. And then Hive Blockchain, obviously we know that they've already gotten over 5,000 of those miners in. So since then, Hive has only confirmed the installation of mining rigs powered by Intel chips. None of the companies responded to requests for comment at the time of publication, so they haven't heard anything back from them. And Argo's partner, Epic Blockchain, is promoting its own Bitcoin mining machines using the Intel semiconductors. So I think Intel might be making a little bit of a mistake. Excuse me. And the reason for that is we know that Bitcoin is cyclical, and the price for the hash rate that is being paid is also cyclical. We were definitely in a down year last year. I think they should have held on to it for at least another year or so. I think they would have been a lot better place. They would have made, I think, more money on it. It's just they've been in it for only a year, and they were in it for the year that was, well, pretty bad for the miners and for the Bitcoin miners' prices as well. Had they decided to hold on for at least another year or two, I think they would have done really well. So I think this was a little short-sighted decision to cut this at this time, and they should have looked out further a little bit, or at least learned about Bitcoin cycles and see how those work out. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen anyways. So we'll only have a set number of Intel ASIC miners out there. Who knows, they might be collectible items in the future. Okay, so that's it for that one. Let's take a look at our next story here. So America's largest Bitcoin exchange is considering leaving the country. Coinbase has been facing pressure that has led to the CEO stating it may be forced to go international. And here's what the deal is. So Coinbase is considering establishing itself in another country should the United States' negative regulatory stance on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies continue, according to CEO Brian Armstrong. There is a lot of FUD, negative press out there with Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin mining also as well. There's a lot of regulatory talked right now, mainly because of what happened with FTX, Three Arrows Capital, you got BlockFi, who else you have in there? There's also Celsius, I believe, was in there as well. There's other ones that have, done a lot of harm to the ecosystem here, and we're now getting basically like the brunt force of that in this year because of all what happened last year. So let's continue on here. So I think if a number of years go by where we don't see regulatory clarity emerge in the U.S., we may have to consider investing more in other regions of the world. Armstrong said this at a fintech conference on Tuesday, which is today. In March, it was reported that Coinbase had been in talks with investors and other interested parties about potentially launching an overseas exchange. I think that's potentially going to happen one way or another. It would be good for them to branch out into other governments or other countries just to kind of not be tied to one country only because, well, if regulatory framework, whatever it might be, has a negative impact on them, it would be prudent for them to be in other countries as well, potentially. Okay, so the largest cryptocurrency and Bitcoin exchange by volume based in the United States, Coinbase has faced mounting regulatory pressure and challenges. The company was recently forced to pay $100 million, all right, that's no chump change there, in fines based on regulatory findings that stated Coinbase had heightened risk of illegal activity. I guess we're talking about maybe possibly money laundering, but we still know that the US dollar is the largest by any means as far as being laundered and used for nefarious activity, but we still use that. In addition, Coinbase recently stated that it may face SEC charges due to potential violations of securities laws, which we covered in the past video before as well, and that's based on the SEC's interpretation as far as which coins, tokens are securities, which ones are not potentially, and there's just no definitive answer from the SEC, even though they have tried to reach out to them and get clarification. until we get clarification, it's kind of a hit and mouse game right now, cat and mouse game. The company has highlighted its trepidation in a blog post that describes how 1 million tech jobs are at stake in the U.S. due to regulatory uncertainty. I would agree with that. There's a lot of tech startups and everything else that are going into this blockchain space, and with uncertainty, it definitely makes it more challenging to grow a business. So I think we definitely need that. Continuing on here, so while some U.S. states are actively seeking to protect Bitcoin and the right to mine Bitcoin, other legislative bodies see the need for increased regulatory scrutiny and legislation, which is fine. I'm all fine for that as long as it's not stifling the innovation that is Bitcoin, blockchain, and everything else. I think we do need some legislation and some regulatory in that, but it's got to be with, what do they call, with like a scalpel instead of a hatchet, right? Going in after it. Okay. Coinbase is not the only major exchange within the cryptocurrency industry to face penalties and scrutiny. Recently, the largest exchange by volume in the world, Binance and its CEO, CZ, were sued by the CFTC after alleged regulatory transgressions. This was followed by a market exchange, Kraken, settling with the SEC in regards to failure to register in the exchange's staking products. So you can see how this is all definitely having an impact on them and the way that they're thinking, which I obviously don't blame them. Without clarity here in the United States, it is going to make it more appealing for them to possibly go overseas, someplace else where there is more clarity. So I think the U.S. has to step up and start doing the right thing here. Okay, that's it on that one. Let me know what you guys think of that one, and let's take a look at the update that we do have from DMG. So this is actually good, I think. It is good. DMG is going to be growing. So DMG announces new miner purchases. And here's what we have. So DMG today announces new miner purchases. These purchases are additive to its previous announced 1 exahash of Bitcoin mining purchases, which is what we have them at, what I have them at, all of which have been delivered except its final tranche of 300 Bitmain S19 XPs, which is 42 petahash. Excuse me. And this purchase includes 350 Bitmain S19 Pros. Those are the 100 terahash miners. 350 Bitmain S19 XPs. Those are the 140 terahash miners, which gets them to 49 petahash. And then 850 Bitmain S19 plus 104. This is actually wrong, or I think this one's wrong. I think it's going to be like 120 some petahash on those in order for them to get to 188 petahash total with the additional 1,550 units that they are buying and contributing to the 188 petahash. Okay, so I think there's a mistake there, or either there's a mistake here. One of those two is wrong, okay, based on the numbers that we do have. The 350 Bitmain S19 Pros were spot deal and have already arrived. It would have been nice to know what they paid for them. If they paid less than $13 per terahash, or even possibly less than that, that would have been nice to know. The remaining miners will be added in the coming months to the DMG's Christina Lake data center. And the company is discussing further purchases with Bitmain and other suppliers. So I think that's good there. They're going to be growing, which they need to grow. The additional hash rate is subject to the receipt, installation, and operation of these additional miners, which is all good and fine. Update on delivery containers. So as previously announced, DMG has purchased over 40 megawatts of crypto mining containers. The company is now finalizing shipping logistics. The first containers are expected to arrive in early July 2023 and continue arriving through September 2023. So basically in end of Q2 and beginning towards Q3 as well. Okay. So I think this is great. This is kind of what it gets us to with them right now. So right now I have them at 892 petahash roughly of installed hash rate. And with the addition of these miners down here, and this is why I'm saying that this number here on the S19 Pro Plus is either 123 petahash, or if they say it's going to be 104, then this number is going to come down as far as how much petahash they're getting actually. So combined for that, we're getting 188. We have the 1,550 miners here as well. And then this one, if we change that to the 104 terahash that they stated, well, then that would get us down to 88 petahash here, which would only be a total of 172 petahash for that. So somewhere in that is a mistake. I don't know where. I'm going to go with the 123 terahash for the time being, as they reported 188 additional. Okay, so that's it for DMG. I think this is great news. They definitely need to grow, like a lot of these miners do, but this is definitely in the right step, and they're buying in the right time, I believe, with the miners being down in price pretty nicely. So buying spot prices probably was pretty good for them, but like I said, I'd like to see the numbers on that as well. All right, let me know what you guys think of this, and let's get into really quick Hive. And while we're on topic of Hive, I've been doing some not the data sheets, but what are these called? Dashboards. Updating these a little bit here for the numbers. So this is the latest iteration of it. Let me know if you guys can see this pretty well or not. I've increased the font size and everything else. I've added some data here. There's more data that I want to add as well to get this all in here. So I think this is going to be a great way for us to look at all the numbers in a graphical kind of way instead of looking at just numbers for the number's sake. But this actually gives us a little bit more of what's going on, whether things are going down, things are going up, or if things were down. It gives us more visual appeal, I think. So if you guys could, I'd really appreciate it if you could let me know down in the comments how you're able to see this, if you're able to see this pretty good, if I need to still increase the font size a little bit, and what do you think of the colors, things like that would help me out tremendously. And that's it. So let's get into Hive here. So Hive, previous all-time high, can it reach it again? What would it take to get there? Let's take a look at what we got here, and we'll go through this relatively quickly here. So we've done this for the other ones as well. And Hive, surprisingly, was a little opposite of what HUT was. And I'll show you guys what I mean here shortly. So the numbers look pretty much the same here as far as the dates are concerned. It looks like a lot of the miners reached their all-time highs back in November of 2021 on the 8th day, on the 9th day, somewhere around there. And for Hive, it was actually on the 8th, like it was for HUT. And this, I'm using the end of day or the closing stock price market cap for that day. They did go up higher than this, but this is where they closed. This was the highest point that they closed at. Okay, so market cap at that time was back in 2021. It was 1.861 billion. Stock price at that time closed at $24.30. They had 76.584 million shares. They have done a reverse split. This is based on that reverse split. So that's why the number is low. Otherwise, it would have been higher than that because I think it was like 300 some million shares that they had before the reverse split. Bitcoin price at that time was 67,792. And then looking at today's numbers, excuse me, they have a market cap of 326 million and stock price is at $3.95. Shares is about 82 million, so that's not a big increase from there. Bitcoin price is at 30,347. And then as far as how the differences are between those two dates, well, they're down on a market cap by 1.534 billion, down 82%. Stock price is down $20.35 or 83.7%. Shares is up 6.129 million, so that's not too bad over a year and a half roughly. It's only up 8%. And then Bitcoin price is down 37,445, down 55.2%. Okay. Then and now, so here's where we're looking at for the future PEs. Back then, they reported of mining approximately 405 Bitcoin. This was for their October production numbers. Petahash at that time was 2.3 exahash, and this was including their GPU mining of Ethereum and Bitcoin mining as well. So that was the combination here. Next is Bitcoin price. We already talked about that. Revenue would have amounted to about 27.5 million. Per share, that would have been 35 cents roughly. And then forward PE, looking at market cap divided by monthly revenue times 12 months, we got a forward PE of 5.64 at that time. Now going into the present, today, they reported mining 282 Bitcoins in March. Their current hash rate is 3.0 exahash roughly. And Bitcoin price is at 30,347. Revenue is about 8.5 million based on that number currently. And then if we take the forward PE, multiple market cap divided by monthly revenue times 12 months, we get 318. So that is definitely lower. When we looked at HUT 8 was at 10 point something here on this one, and they were also at 10 point something currently as is. So Hive didn't move much as far as the forward PE is concerned from then to now, which is kind of strange as well. I would have thought they would have been a little bit higher here, given where Bitcoin price was at that time. But I think at that time they had so many shares out that's possibly why, but they've been converted over to after the reverse split on them, okay? Next, let's take a look at how things would stack up or for them to get to their previous market cap. So 1.861 billion divided by I added 10 more million shares after the halving event that they might get to within the next year. They might dilute. I'm not sure how much they're going to dilute, but I'm guessing maybe 10 million shares there. So they got us to 92.713 million shares. And then the stock price would have to be about $20 at that point to get back to the 1.861 billion for it to work out. Okay. here is the possibility. Now we're using the forward PE 3.18, which is pretty much from the current or present time frame today. And after the halving event, I'm guessing they're going to be making about 150 Bitcoins. This is based on what they mined here previously, which was 282. I'm guessing if they grow their hash rate a little bit more here to potentially 4 exahash by the end of, well, before the halving event, that could get them to about 300 Bitcoin mined monthly. That would drop them down after the halving to about 150 right there. Bitcoin price with only 150 Bitcoins being mined would have to be about 325,000. Revenue would be about 49 million a month. And that would get us to a market cap of 1.86 billion, right? And then the stock price would be around $20 at that time. Now, if we wanted to get back to the previous all-time high for the price of stock, Bitcoin would have to be approximately 1 million. 1 million, because that would get us to about 160 million in revenue. Market cap would be at that point 6.182. Something is not right here. I wonder if I missed something here. Why would it be that much higher? 150 times 1 million would be 150 million. And then, let me see here. I'm going to pause the video here, and I'm going to come back to it. Okay, so I fixed the error here. The error was in the calculating here, which I was using the number of shares from Hut 8 instead of for Hive. So that was my mistake there. So that's corrected now. So Bitcoin would have to be actually 400,000 in order for them to get to that previous all-time high in stock price. Market cap at that time would be 2.29 billion, and that would be with the 4P of 318, which is the current one today. Okay, next is looking at the 5.64, which they reached back in November of 2021. So Bitcoin would have to be approximately 180,000 for them to reach 1.82 billion in market cap. Stock price would be around $20 at that time. If we use 225,000 per Bitcoin, that would get them to the 24.64 previous stock price. But we know that Bitcoin, well, I'm guessing Bitcoin's going to be under 200,000 by the end of the bull run. So maybe around 190,000. So I'm looking at about $20.80 potentially if they stay at the 5.64 a portion of it on the top end. But could they get also like a PE, forward PE of 10? That is a possibility. It just all depends on where the miners go and how well they grow, how well Bitcoin grows and everything else. So with a forward PE of 10, then they would only need to get a Bitcoin price of 105,000 to get back to the 1.8 billion market cap. And then at 125,000, that would get them to the $24 and change for their all-time high stock price. And Bitcoin goes up to 190, then we're looking at $36.89. I'm guessing they're going to be probably somewhere between the 10 here and the 5 forward PE, somewhere in line with that on that one. Somewhere in those lines. Don't know exactly where they're going to be. It's anybody's guess really as far as where they end up. But given that they were only, 5.64 and 3.18 on the forward PEs from 2011 to today, doesn't give a lot of room to grow as far as some of the other miners that were like Hut, Marathon, Riot were a bit higher on the PEs. They were 10. Riot had like a 40 some at the high end, and Marathon was like at 19 or something like that. So we'll see if they can get favor from the investors basically to get to a possibility of 4 PE of 10. The other concerns are with right now is Sweden putting the 6,000% tax increase on Bitcoin miners' electricity costs. That's going to have an impact on them. We don't know how that's going to affect them. They haven't provided any information. Hopefully that gets resolved, or if it doesn't get resolved, they're going to have to move their facilities probably someplace else because it's going to make it more expensive for them to mine there. And that's going to have an impact on them as well. They're going to have to move stuff. So we'll see how things play out. But I'm guessing somewhere between, they could get to maybe between $20 and somewhere between there, potentially, if we go with these numbers here, or the 5.14 numbers as well, okay? So that is it. Let me know what you guys think of all this, and then let me know also what you guys thought of the Hive spreadsheet that has the new dashboard, I guess you could say, for all the information, if you're able to see that. What did you think of DMG? What did you think of, Intel, not going full bore into the Intel ASIC space, and Coinbase potentially looking to move out of the United States. Okay, other than that, thank you so much for watching. The spreadsheets are always available to my Patreon members. Thank you to everyone there. and I'm losing my voice. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe. Helps me out tremendously, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then,